Hi everyone, welcome back to Personal Ramblings. Sorry that it's been so much time. I thought I'd only take the weekend off, but I was quite burnt out at the start of the week, which is something I'm still trying to figure out, but it's getting better now. I managed to post on Substack, so that post is what I wanted to share today, as I always do. If you're new here, Personal Ramblings is a Substack blog I have, but I also post on here on YouTube, so I can talk in a more conversational way about the things I've been feeling and the things that I've been writing. So today I wanted to talk about, the subject is called It's Okay to Rest. And it's sort of lessons that I've learned growing up where resting and sleeping was seen as a negative and lazy thing, but now being a bit older and realizing that rest isn't just something nice, but it's actually something that's necessary. So I want to start talking about growing up. I can still hear it like it's yesterday, my mum shouting up the stairs, "Wake up, you're going to waste the whole day." And it would be like 9 a.m. on a Saturday, and the problem is that I'm still sleeping. But the reason I'd be so tired on Saturdays is because I spent the entire week at school, basically every single weeknight at church activities, and then on Sunday I would have church. So Saturday was like the one day I would have to sleep. But because Saturday is the only day that's available, it would get filled with chores and all these daughterly duties. You have to do the dishes, you have to hoover the house, you have to clean your room, you have to do the laundry. And it's like there was always this sort of war on sleeping and resting growing up. And I think that really impacted how I am nowadays, how it can feel almost evil to rest, like a personal failure if I choose to rest instead of be productive throughout every single day of the week. So yeah, on those days like that, I would try my best to hide myself under my blanket, but sooner or later my door would burst open, the light would be on, the shouting would now be in my room, the curtains would be opened, and it's like sleeping was seen as wrong. And sleeping was seen as a failure or a sickness or something that needed to be corrected, when really I was just tired and I just needed that time to rest. So nowadays I don't have school anymore. I'm graduating in June, and church schedules have lightened up since the pandemic. A lot of things have gone online, and also I'm just a bit older, so I have a bit more choice in what I want to attend. Not that much choice, just a little bit more choice. And I also don't have a job, so I've been in a pretty long period of rest, I guess, involuntary rest. I would love to have a job, but since I don't, I have a lot more time now to actually sleep and recharge and think about everything that I've studied and everything that I've been through, and just to recover from all the constant studying and worries that I've been having. And nowadays, my room has never gotten as messy as it used to be when I was younger. I still have a hard time keeping up with my things, which I think is an ADHD trait. I'm still waiting for that diagnosis, but my solution basically has been to cut down on everything I own, because if I can't organize it, then I just have to reduce it. That's something that I've learned for myself. And also the house is pretty clean because there's no longer any kids around. I'm not a kid anymore. I don't need as many things. I don't make a mess with as many things. So there's less cleaning and stuff that needs to be done at all times. And honestly, if I need to clean, I can do it in the week. I don't have to wait for the weekend to do it anymore. And I'm also not much of a cook or a chef. Never have been, probably never will be. That's one daughterly duty I managed to escape mostly. But every now and then I'll make a roast veggie with some roast chicken and some gravy and stuff. But a lot of that is just like 2 trays in the oven and no pots to clean. So mess is at a minimal. And I feel like because of all this reduction, I've had so much more opportunity for rest. And rest isn't just sleeping. For me, rest is playing my guitar. For me, rest is writing my blog. For me, rest is reading a book. Anything that helps to recharge me from what I've been pouring out in the week. And since I'm not doing much in the week, I have almost more rest than productivity. And at first, it used to make me feel kind of worthless, like I'm not contributing anything to the world because I'm not being productive, I'm not working and earning money, I'm not studying in school, I'm not constantly cleaning the house, because I was always taught those are the things that make you a good person, those are the things that give you worth. And so it feels like I'm sort of taking up space wastefully because I'm not doing anything completely productive at the moment. But actually, my mindset has been sort of reframing in this time. And it is a funny feeling because, as I said, it's not like I'm doing nothing all day. Maybe I get up a bit later, but I'm still picking up new skills. I'm sewing, embroidery, reading books, applying to jobs. But I've realized that for the first time in a long time, I actually feel well rested. And even though my life is quiet these days, it's almost like the quiet is actually peace. And I think the reason I'm so unsettled is because I've never been allowed to feel this peace before. And I think my new relationship with rest actually began at university. I started in 2020 during the pandemic, so everything was closed. But I still moved out to go to university, and for the first time in my life, I think that was the first time in my life, I went to bed and I woke up at whatever time I wanted without a list of responsibilities, family responsibilities waiting for me. And I think that's the first day that I ever felt what it's like to have peace, to have freedom, and to just not wake up already overwhelmed with like the weight of everything that I have to do. And I still remember that day. I showered when I wanted to. I made breakfast for only myself. I ate at my own pace. I worked on my laptop and I went out for a walk without telling anyone. And I just remember the sense of joy that surrounded me, and I was like, I hope that this moment never ends. Of course it did. I moved back home, but I still hold on to that memory, and I think that memory of what it's like to be independent and moved out still sticks with me to this day. So yeah, I really loved living away from home, and I hope to have that level of peace again one day. But of course, like most 20-something-year-olds who have graduated, because of the economy and the job crisis and everything, most of us have had to move back home and are still in our childhood bedrooms. But I do think since that time, and since understanding what it's like to be free, I've managed to keep up most of those boundaries, even now whilst I'm at home. It hasn't been easy, and it's not always comfortable, but I know for my own mental health and sanity, it is definitely for the best. It can be hard with my new relationship with rest. A lot of the time I get asked, are you sick? Are you lacking vitamins? Are you blah, blah, blah? Because since moving home, my tiredness has become a lot more, but I realize it's more of just being mentally overwhelmed and stimulated rather than an actual sickness or a disease with me. And once I learn how to just get rid of some of the overstimulation, I find myself to be less irritable and a happier person. I really don't like being a negative person to be around, but it's really hard because, I don't know, just being an adult at home, it takes a real toll on your mental health. Another thing is, along with the whole neurodivergent thing, being at home isn't really being free because you kind of have to mask all the time, and I have to be conscious of how my mood affects my family at all times. And if I'm in a mood that they don't like, they're very sure to let me know. But I feel like a lot of the time when I'm in a bad mood, I try my best to keep to myself, but then keeping to myself is also seen as like a terrible sin. So it's like I'm kind of in an impossible situation, but I just keep to myself anyway, because what else can I do? And I try my best to recharge, and I don't know, it just always seemed like whenever I would rest or sleep, it would be treated as a sin where God was going to judge me for it, and it was a moral failing. But now I'm realizing that rest isn't laziness, it's necessary. And I don't really know exactly what I want this to be. It's not really a preaching on how to rest more or a preaching on why everybody needs to rest, but more of just an outlet of how I've been feeling and reframing my relationship with rest. And a big thing for me is that I think a larger part, more than strict parents, more than religion, more than everything else, the reason why rest can feel so negative is like obvious overwhelming reason for everything, capitalism. Like, we're all made to feel worthless if we're not being productive at all times. Like, from the laptop to streetlights, extending our waking hours and days and how long we can be productive for, because now you can bring work home. With streetlights, you can be out for later times at night instead of just having to go by nature and the sun and the moon and the changing like times of day. Now we have clocks and everything, so it's like there's so much more opportunity to be productive. And in capitalism, you need to take every single opportunity to be productive and to grow exponentially. And I'm not a genius in economics or anything, so I'm just going to stop the capitalism talk there. I'm not going to pretend to know something that I don't. But I've really been trying my best to unlearn all of this, and I've realized in this time that rest isn't just something nice to do as I started with. It is something that is necessary. And these days, rest is treated as a privilege, but really resting should be every single person's right. The next thing I wanted to talk about is how rest and well-being genuinely helps you. I found that when you rest, you're able to be creative. When you rest, not that resting is to be more productive, but resting gives you the mental capacity to think a bit more, to understand yourself a bit more, because when you're burnt out and tired, all you can think about is just getting to sleep. But when you're well rested, you have more space to think about the things you love and enjoy, and to give more energy to those recharging things. And so I feel like one of the most important parts of rest is that it gives you the space to create and to grow and develop as a person. And even more, rest is regenerative. It brings you back to the humanness that burnout kind of makes you lose. Like I said, when I'm well rested, I'm less irritable, I'm in better moods, and I feel more like myself. I feel less out of place in my own body. And in this way, rest is vital, and it is okay to rest. And I'm learning that now. I'm learning to teach myself to rest, even if everybody is shouting at me not to. Even if everybody is like, you need to be in the rat race, and you need to be doing this, this, and that. And if you're not doing all this and this, and if you don't have this Notion template, and if you're not doing all these productivity schemes, then you're just wasting your life away. And I'm like, no, rest is not a waste of life. Rest is necessary to life. So yeah, I'm going to end the video here. Sorry if my speaking is a bit less put together. I think after taking a break, I've forgotten how to talk to the camera again. But yeah, this is just what I wanted to talk about, and yeah, that's it for today, and see you tomorrow maybe. Bye bye.